What's up, Tampa? It's Saturday morning. You're listening to the Let's Go Low show right here on the Big 8 AM 820. And we got another great episode for you golf lovers out there. This is Jeff Stanislow, your host. This episode is brought to you by Golfers Unite, golfersunite.com, where we got the hookups. So check out golfersunite.com and see some of the great deals and offers that we provide to you. Our session today is going to be talking to those mid-handicap golfers, the ones that are trying to break 90, maybe even get into the 80s, but they seem to not be able to get it done. And our resident returning guest is Miss Emily Nowak. Emily, how are you doing today?
Good, Jeff. I'm excited to hopefully help some people out today to break either 90s, 80s, break into wherever they're looking to get.
Yeah, fantastic. I appreciate you coming on. Emily is part of the Golfers Unite team. And every Tuesdays and Thursdays, she actually posts to our social media channel some golf instruction. So if you get a chance, go to Instagram or TikTok and search up Golfers Unite. You'll find us there. We are the green button. Or if you want to go to direct, our handle is at When Golfers Unite. So Emily, let's talk about where amateurs usually kind of go wrong. And it's actually not, making a bogey. If someone was to go out and say, hey, listen, I'm going to bogey most of the holes and shoot par on some and maybe making an occasional birdie, they're, probably 85 or better. But a lot of the times when people are shooting in the mid 90s, it's the blow up hole that hurts them. It's the hole that when they could have got out of there with a bogey or a double, but all of a sudden it turned into a triple or a quad on their scorecard. Let's just talk a little bit about that. Do you agree? And what are your thoughts, for a mid-handicap golfer to maybe start thinking differently?
Yeah. So I think one of the biggest issues that mid-handicappers have is they don't want to take their medicine. They got themselves in that situation. They have to find a safe way out. So whether that's punching a 9-iron into the fairway, you don't have to go for that miracle shot. If you found yourself in the junk, you got yourself there, you got to figure yourself out, and do not go for that miracle shot. That's where we get those 12s, 13s, 14s, 10s. So if you find yourself in a junky situation, take your medicine, punch out. And if it's not in a dangerous place, at least have something to fall back on. So work on your short game. So if you've topped 3 balls now down the fairway, you're getting closer. But if you have that short game to back you up, hopefully it's just a chip and a putt, a chip and 2 putts, and you're not going too crazy around the green. But yeah, I would say a lot of amateurs really bad at taking their medicine, just kind of getting it into a safe spot and really don't have that short game to fall back on when it's needed.
Yeah, that's a great point, Emily. And I think, what I call the hero or zero shot, right?
Yes,
You know what
yeah.
I mean? Like you find yourself maybe on the right side of the fairway and there's a tree there and you're kind of like, okay, I could punch out and go to the left and advance it, maybe 100 yards and start playing again. Or I could try to take that hero shot and thread the needle out of the rough, and they decide to take that hero shot and end up topping it, and it goes into the trees even further or hits the tree and goes out of bounds. So you got to take that out of your mindset when you're really serious about taking those big blow up holes out of consideration. So
For sure.
always think, get it back in play. It is what it is. Take your medicine, as you said, that's for sure. And a good rule of thumb, and maybe you agree with me, is if you can't pull it off 7 out of 10 times on the range or in your previous, rounds of golf, then don't do it. It's not the shot for you.
Especially if it's a shot you've never hit before. I find a lot of people in that spot. I've never been behind this tree. I've never tried to hit one like this. And they think that first time on the golf course is going to be their first and successful time of executing that shot. So yeah, really taking your medicine you'll see those scores start to shrink a whole bunch. Because yeah, on the golf course, definitely ego is involved. You're not laying up. You're out there to hit great shots, and it might take one boring shot to kind of just keep you moving forward. But that's same with around the greens. You want to hit those nice flashy shots. Keep them low, keep them in play, and you won't be in too much trouble.
Yeah, I think this is Jeff Stanislaw. You're listening to Let's Go Low right here on AM 820 Tampa Bay. We're talking with Emily Nowak. Emily is a contributor at Golfers Unite, and she also runs her own social media platform, the Fairway Fem Club. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. But, TV, what I was going to say is, watching the pros on TV and then trying to take their shots to your game is probably not the best way to think about it.
For sure, yeah.
One thing I want to talk about is the tee box.
Mm-hmm.
Emily, I think everybody wants to grab the driver, and they're just pulling up the tee, and no matter what they see, they're grabbing their driver automatic. What do you think that they should look at, and then maybe even start thinking like, hey, maybe I better hit the 5-iron off of this or whatever because of the yardage. What are your thoughts to an amateur when they're pulling up to the tee box? What they should be thinking about?
Yeah, I would be looking at kind of the most open spot. If that means hitting your 5-wood off the tee, then that means hitting your 5-wood off the tee. I would never be trying to thread the needle with a driver and try to land it in a small landing area, especially if you're looking to score. But when you're looking at choosing less than driver, it's super important to think what club you'll have into the green now. So some people, if it's a longer hole, you might take your 5-iron off the tee, and now you have another 5-iron or a hybrid or something you're uncomfortable with off the tee. So just make sure you're giving yourself enough of a play to hit that green regulation. But yeah, it's very common to not hit driver off the tee. If you're watching the LPGA Tour, the PGA Tour, you don't have to always be a hero hitting that driver off the tee, especially if it's a small landing area. The fairway is thin. There's junk up there. Take your rangefinder, figure out where the junk starts, hit to the edge of that, and just make sure you're giving yourself enough of a chance to have a good second shot in there.
That's some good advice. Emily. The other thing I think one of the things that I try to do, and I don't do it all the time, is work with what you got going on and play to a natural miss.
Yes.
When I'm on the tee box, for whatever, normally I hit a little draw, which is nice, but some days I just don't got it and everything's fading. But I keep on trying to fight the swing when I should actually just be working with what I got going on that day and then looking for the spot where a natural miss or that day's round has got going for me and adjust accordingly.
Yeah, and that's why I think hitting the range before your next round of golf is so important, especially amateurs. Pros, they miss one way, and that's why they're so good. They know that no matter what, their miss is going to be left or their miss is going to be right. And having one miss does help so much because it's not going to go either way. But amateurs, go hit the range, figure out what your miss is that day, and just play it. If it's horrendous, you can deal with it after the round. Just keep the ball moving forward. But I think it's huge to go hit the range before amateurs play, just to kind of see what the ball is doing that day, and don't fight it. Just kind of play it that day.
So this is Jeff Stanislaw. You're listening to another great episode of Let's Go Low right here on AM 820. We appreciate you, Tampa, for tuning in and all the support. It is brought to you by Golfers Unite, golfersunite.com. If you get a chance, check it out. We got a great website full of fantastic offers in the golf world, from equipment to apparel and much, much more. Check out the golfersunite.com. So, Emily, shifting to the next thing that I think a lot of amateur golfers do is they go pin sinking.
Yes.
They got the rangefinder, they know the exact distance to the pin, and they're ready to swing at it. Talk to us a little bit about maybe the thought process other than just what the distance is right to the pin, what they should be thinking about and trying to shave some strokes off their score.
Yeah, so I think that if you're looking to really get over that threshold, you're looking to break 90, looking to break 80, it's fun to just go out there and aim for the fattest part of the green, whether it's a middle, just look for the fattest part of the green and aim there. Because if we're now going for the middle of the green, we now have a 20-foot, say, radius, where if we're going for that back left corner, our miss now is so much bigger. That 20-foot radius is now taking us off the back of the green. So aiming for the middle of the green is always a fun way to go, and go out to your next round of golf and say, I'm only aiming for the middle of the green, and just kind of see what happens to those strokes. You'll be putting a lot more, and it really just brings in that miss. So it's not such a big area to miss. You're aiming right there for the fattest part, right in the middle.
The other thing that I think a lot of amateurs do is they don't look at what's around the green. Okay, they get the pin, they're going pin seeking, but they got to pay attention to where some of the trouble is and where that pin is. You know, they oftentimes short side themselves and give them a very difficult chip. You know, whereas the landing area on the, you know, let's say the trouble's on the left side of the pin, but the landing area front right is a lot open where they can make a nice little chip and hopefully get, you know, up and down and increase their chances for that, versus putting themselves in a bad position on a short side and then they hit their chip, you know, 20 feet past. Now they're 3 shots away instead of 2.
Yeah, and just finding where that good miss is, that's a great advice there too. So yeah, if you're hitting into a pin, sand is short, but it's open long, and you're kind of in between your head. Should I go easy 8 or should I just go full 8? See if I get there, go full 8, because there's no sand back there. That's a safe miss. So always identifying the miss. Safe miss will help too with every hole, because it kind of helps you with those shot decisions as well.
Yes. And then I think a lot of amateurs, they always come up short, right?
Yes.
So whenever you're kind of thinking that you're hitting the ball really strong or, you know, what have you, is don't be afraid to take the extra club a little bit. Maybe if you choke down on the right club, you have a tendency to get to where you need to go instead of being short and in the trouble.
Yeah, trying to hit one really hard, pulling that club and saying, I'm just going to hit this one really hard. You're probably already setting yourself up for failure. So I'd always take a choke down, easy swing over trying to really hit this 8-iron hard. And you see like a lot of LPGA players, they'll choke down the club an inch and a half and just really take those nice, easy, smooth swings.
Yep. This is Jeff Stanislaw. You're listening to another great episode of Let's Go Low. We are talking to those mid-handicappers trying to shave a few strokes here and there, which definitely make a difference on the scorecard. We're trying to talk about, you know, avoiding the blow-up holes. We talked a little bit about some tee box strategies and what to do there, some approach shots, and, you know, aiming at the pin and pin seeking is not always the right thing to do. Just knowing where your misses are going and work with what you got going on. We got a couple minutes left here, Emily, and I think one of the things that I want to talk to, at least get started, and then maybe we can have you back. There's 2 more subjects that I think we really need to dive into. We can cover one of them today, at least partially, is wedge and distance control. And then the second one, putting. Definitely we're going to have you back. We can talk a little bit more about some putting. But, you know, what would you recommend to the mid-handicapper to know about their wedges? I know knowing my number is probably one of the most important thing that I got when I start bringing out my wedges.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I would, figure out how far back you have to take the club to go and see how far that goes. So when you take your club back, think of it kind of as a clock. So you have 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and just think of you ticking those time, just taking that club back a little bit further each time and see what happens. So what a lot of people do is they'll bring their wedge back halfway and then they'll accelerate or decelerate super hard. So get used to taking those quarter, half, 75% shots and get comfortable doing that, because you not want to be taking those full swings of those wedges. That's when we've completely lost control. So just get used to, taking that club back 25, 50, 75%, see how far it goes and get comfortable with it.
Yeah. And then your wedge, you know, you can hit a 54-degree full wedge. For me is about 100 yards, right? But I'm also working real hard to know what a 3/4 54-degree is, a half 54-degree is, so I can dial in those numbers. You like that idea?
Yeah, I love the idea. And at that point, just like putting, it's just doing it over and over and over again and getting used to that feeling.
Right. You got to get that repetition with your wedges.
Yeah.
When we come back next week, let's talk a little bit more about maybe chipping around the green and what degrees that they should be doing. I know a lot of people chip with an 8-iron, or maybe they have one wedge that they chip with. We can talk a little bit about front of your stance versus the back of the stance and what the ball's going to do. A lot of way to shave those scores, don't you think, Emily?
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of fun stuff that can be going on with the short game to help with that.
Fantastic. You've listened to another great episode. This is Jeff Stanislow, your host of the Let's Go Low Show right here on AM 820. We appreciate you tuning in, Tampa, and thank you very much. This is Jeff, and this is Emily Nowak. Emily is with Golfers Unite and also the Fairway Fem Club. You can find her on most socials. Just search Fairway Fem Club and find Emily. And she's also on our channels on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so you can see visuals to these lessons. Until next week, always, let's go low.